Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Well, hello and welcome. It is the Daily Dish, and it is time for us to get busy. Jeanette and Kathy, so glad you're in the house. Jocelyn, Patsy, you too. Who was here yesterday for our Hot Melt 30 time? We had a Hot Melt 30 time together. Denise, hello. We had our webinar last night and basically just went over the premise and the reason for and the whys of doing the Hot Melt 30. And I think it's one of our most important programs that we've ever done because it sets you up for success to navigate this gap that we have between doing a hot melt sprint for 7 days and adopting this as this is the way I do it. This is my life. This is how it works. So good to see you, Doris and Lisa. Sue is here. Martha. Very good to have you here. Anyway, well, Jocelyn, my goodness, you could give that webinar. You know so much about the Hot Melt 30. She's a pro at this. But I really super invite you to go take a look-see at the webinar. We had a couple of hot seats last night, but we had two, but one didn't get completed. Unfortunately, we couldn't get our one of our gals on the seat, shall we say? And then we had another hot seat. So we had some hot seats as well as we did the whole thing. And I love doing webinars because live webinars because you're there and it's good to be together and questions get asked and it's good stuff. So I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the topic this week because we're going to be talking about things that are going to come into play as we get into this Hot Melt 30. We're all going to be doing it together, by the way. We are all going to be doing this together. Hello, Debbie. Good to have you here. And, it's just so much better to do things together, isn't it? And wait till I tell you some of the stuff that I've got here for you today. It's going to blow you away a little bit. So today we're going to be not only talking about the gap, but we're going to be talking about strategies to bridge that gap and beyond that, strategies to make you uber successful. Because, what good is it to just say, I'm going to bridge that gap and then be massively frustrated? Am I right? You know what I'm talking about. So we're going to be talking about that. But first of all, let's just take a look at what we've got going on this week because, as you know, the Hot Melt 30 is going to be for the whole month of September. We start September 1, we end September 30th, and it's quite a transformational journey. It really is. It is transformational. And I would invite you to consider getting a kit. One of our smoothie kits this time, especially I really like the Hot Melt 30 kit because it has all the things in it. And it teaches you exactly, what to do and why these are so important. And this is a good habit to get started with. And let me tell you this, that these smoothies are cornerstone to understanding nutrition, to understanding what your body needs, and to being able to navigate through hunger hormones, changes, all the rest of it. It's really kind of crazy. Hi, Teresa. And here's the thing that you get when usually they're 15% off. We're doing them at 25% off all this week because I want to see you succeed. Not only that, but I'm giving you two of these two little books, the Hot Melt Sprint and the Hot Melt Sprint Volume 2. Volume 1 has all the stuff that you're familiar with. Volume 2 has recipes that are to die for, like buttered chicken with turmeric cauliflower rice and the almond salmon with beet greens, salmon. We've got citrus basil chicken with avocado. That one's killer recipe. All these recipes are all Hot Melt approved. And I say, yes, go for it. Now, with the guide, with the Hot Melt 30, you're going to get everything that you need. Of course, you're going to get the guide. You're going to get menus, recipes, shopping lists, of course. You're also going to get what a day in the life looks like so you can set it all up. You get everything. You're going to get the commitment contract. You are going to get your built-in community over at the Hot Melt Sprint community on Facebook. And I just strongly recommend that you really consider a kit this time around and get your smoothie on. Pinkies up. That's right, Jocelyn. Alice is here too. Good to have you here, Alice. I'm glad you're here. So that is, you can find all of that information at savingdinner.com/30, THIRTY. The replay will be there as well as all the information about the kits and what have you. And remember, this comes automatically. You don't have to add this to your cart. You're going to get these automatically when you buy your kit. Also, when you buy your kit, if you don't already have the guide will be free. Otherwise, you have to go get yourself a guide. It's just that simple. Okay. All right. So that's what we have. Letting you know about all of that because it's super important. The other thing that you need to know is that we have a little Etsy shop that's so cute with all of the Full Bloom swag. You can find that at savingdinner.com/Etsy. And while we're at it, oh, and by the way, the kits are also at savingdinner.com/show because it is our special of the week. So I just want you to, I really want to emphasize what a great deal this is. You should get this. You should get on top of it because, you know, it's all kinds of value in there. Don't forget as well as all orders over $300. If you're in the lower 48, you're going to get free shipping. That's our way of saying thank you. I appreciate you. And it's the truth. We're so grateful for each and every one of you. Thank you for choosing to shop with us. It makes a difference to all of us, right? You are part of that rising tide, lifting all those boats. I've got a quote for you this week I think is terrific. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you pay attention to, and I will tell you who you are. Yowza! Isn't that such a good one? It really is a good one because it is really telling, isn't it? If we're, you know, if we find ourselves looking at our screen reports will tell us what we're about too, won't it? We're just sitting there scrolling and doom scrolling and looking at all kinds of, you know, going into YouTube rabbit holes. It's going to tell us a little bit too, isn't it? I don't want that for you. I don't want that for me. I want us to have lives that are abundant, vibrant, lives that make a difference, lives that are on purpose, not just wasting time and killing time and not having a mission in one's life. I think we all have a mission. I think it's important. I think you're important. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So let's talk about this gap because a gap is, we've talked about what the gap is. The gap is where you are and where you want to go. And in between it, the big gap. And I say there's a bridge that needs to be built. And once we understand that that bridge is built by constructing new neural pathways in our brains, then we can understand that it's going to take a little bit of work. It's going to take a little bit of doing. It's going to take a little bit of repetition, by the way, to make this happen. Because you've heard the whole thing about at first it's very difficult and it's awkward and it's an obstacle. And then it becomes a little bit easier. Then all of a sudden it becomes a habit. And then it just becomes who you are. And that's what we're trying to navigate is getting it from this awkward, crazy place to just being who we are. Isn't that's flow right there, by the way. That is flow. And that just makes the world go round. So we have to then navigate this journey of our current state and our desired future. And we always have to remember something. It's never, ever, ever going to be easy. It may be simple, but it's not going to be easy because it's unfamiliar, it's challenging, there's ups, there's downs, and it can be crazy town. Remember I told you yesterday, I was saying that most people see their goals as this, as you're here, and you want to go to here. So it's like this, right? You're here and you want to go to there. But instead, if we understand it and we're able to do it the way that we want to do it, it instead looks like this squiggly line. And a lot of times people don't get from here to up here. You know why? Because it's down here somewhere that they quit on themselves. And all I'm trying to say today is that we all have the gap. We all have the stops and starts. We all have the cha-cha of failure, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We all do. The difference is the not quitting. The difference is staying the course. The difference is understanding this is part of the whole process, and that yes, your brain can be trained, and yes, you can change it all up. And that's what we're about to do. So again, we're building that bridge and that means that you're going to have to put your brain on notice. Like, get ready. It's going to be a bumpy ride, sister. Put on the seatbelt. Your amygdala is going to scream at you. Your amygdala is going to say, what the heck do you think you're doing? Because what is the amygdala anyway? That is basically your fear center of the brain. Doesn't like risk, doesn't want one thing changed, wants to stay the same continuously. You've heard yourself say this when you say, I don't like change. And how many of us have always said that? I don't like change. I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. I want to stay the same. But we are going to fight this resistance like we are warriors out on the battleground. We have to if we want to attain the thing that we want that's on the other side of the gap. So there's this interesting thing, and I read about this today, and I was thinking about yes. I just never had a name for it, but this is the thing. I've talked about time block sheets. I've talked about using, your Take Back Your Life journal. I've talked about the importance of repetition and writing out your goals in an intentional, affirmative way. Talked about all that stuff. But one other little strategy that we can add in there, which I didn't even think of it being a strategy, I just thought of it as being more accurate, is adding the what, when, and where strategy. And this is going to help us tremendously, especially as we try to navigate the gap, as we're in that awkward stage of starting a brand new habit, of starting all these things, especially doing 30 and you're saying, I'm doing all this stuff. Yeah, you're going to be doing some stuff. It doesn't take a whole bunch of time. It just takes a proper amount of time and a little bit of setting aside time, but doing it in a what, when, and where strategy form. Let me explain to you. So what you're going to do then is just to say, instead of saying, I'm going to meditate every day, you say, I am going to meditate every morning at 7 o'clock for 15 minutes, and I'm going to do it in my living room. I'm going to have everything set up in my living room. So when I sit in my living room on my chair. So when we do that, we are creating an exact spot where all of the action's going to happen. We're creating basically appointments for ourselves. Remember, I've always said that. Make an appointment for yourself to go to the gym. Same idea. Go to the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to be in my car driving to go to the gym, ready to go with my plan and my phone and all the rest of that. This is how we get things done. This is how we navigate the gap. And guess what they've shown? This was the University of Bath, it was in England, showed that people who just talk about their goals are maybe going to get, a 30% bump in actually completing their goals. People who write them down, a 40% bump in actually completing their goals. But people who do the what, where, and when strategy, so that they are bridging their gaps, 77% increase in fulfilling their goals, in succeeding in their goals. Isn't that incredible? And then if you add in accountability, don't even get me started, that's going to just make everything work on fire. That's going to bump it up to in the 90s, in the 90 percentiles. Can you imagine? What if we all did that? Can you see how that would all just totally turn everything on fire? Anyway, so this is important because what is the enemy of all this good intention, of all these goals? And that is our own personal resistance. Oftentimes, people will throw down all kinds of excuses of why they can't get something done or why they can't fulfill their goals, or blame shifting it on circumstances or people. But at the end of the day, it's resistance. And it's inside of us. And we're all these resistant fighters. We don't like the change. It's tough. It is so awkward, so weird. And it takes up a lot of mental energy as well as physical energy sometimes. And that can be extremely exhausting and it can be tough. So if we have these strategies set up ahead of time, we're going to find ourselves, you know, really sailing through this whole thing. So to start with, then some actionable takeaways from all of this then is that we've got to recognize the gap. Um, I think it's really important that we just start with this whole act of being a noticer. We notice there's this gap. We notice that this is where we are and this is all the stuff that we've completed. This is where we want to go. And in between it, we've got to figure out how we're going to get across that gap, how we're going to build that bridge. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be unknowns. And one of the things that I just invite you into a place of comfort is knowing that you're not the only one. We all go through this. So if we talk about it, if we write about it in our journals, and if we say, this is the gap I'm going to navigate, this is the brain that I'm going to train so that I can get this, it no longer has power over us unless we give it power, because we've decided to take back our power by being very proactive about it and noticing. It's a huge thing, because most people just kind of go, I just don't like it. And that's it. They haven't taken the time to really think through it, go through it and walk through it and say, okay, yeah, this is going to be tough. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to do it. Ask Tanya how she felt when she was on her 135-pound journey of weight loss, right? At the beginning, it wasn't pretty. It took some doing. But then now it's just what she does. Day 800 and whatever it is that she's on. Number 2, understand the switch costs. This is an interesting thing. As you're adopting new habits, you have to inhibit the old ones, right? So if your old habit, for example, was sitting down on the couch with a bag of chips every night after dinner, that's going to have to shift. That's going to have to shift. What are you going to do instead? What is your list of things to do? Guess what? This is where your journal comes in really handy. If it's after dinner, this is it, and you've got the rest of the family sitting there scarfing up their ice cream or doing whatever it is, what are you going to do? This would be a good time to maybe even if you're going to sit there with the family, maybe you're going to take up some kind of stretching routine or whatever, put on a YouTube exercise video and exercise in front of the TV. Just turn it down or put in your earbuds or whatever. Maybe that's something that you're going to do. But you are pivoting from something that you used to do all the time. And so to do something different, you need to invest in that and invest your energy and just go whoop over to here. That's what I'm going to do. And it takes some doing, it can be a little bit hazardous, shall we say, but it takes a little bit doing. And I swear, it might feel awkward at first, but it will beat back the resistance like nothing else, because you haven't left a vacuum. You're not just sitting there clenching your wrists doing one of these. You're doing something instead. It'd be a good time to pick up crocheting or knitting or other little handcrafty things or whatever. But my point is that you need to fill that vacuum. So that's part of the whole thing. The other thing is this thing called backward inhibition. Have you ever heard of that? It's paying the price. You have to let go of your current patterns to adopt new and more efficient ones. So I say that this is an energy exchange. That's all this is. You're letting go of the old stuff and you're pouring your energy that you used to pour into the old stuff into the new stuff. It's sort of like, excuse me. It's sort of like if somebody comes up to you, let's say you're bilingual, and somebody comes up to you, they're speaking English, and then all of a sudden somebody else comes up to you and starts speaking Spanish. Your whole backward inhibition thing is that you can speak both languages and communicate to both people. And so what you want to do is be able to pour yourself into both of these things and then, be able to converse this way and then also switch it over into the other thing that you need to give the energy to so that you're communicating effectively. That's what we're doing. And number 4 is embracing ignorance, because I'm just going to say this. Your old thoughts, your old wisdom, if you will, isn't getting you where you want to go. Let go of it. What you thought about nutrition or what used to work for you with exercise or what you thought about, Maybe you have an outdated notion that meditation is evil and of the occult or some kind of stuff like that. How helpful has that been for you? What's it shown you, right? Get educated, learn, lean into some new wisdom here, you know? Because wisdom is the thing. But we have outdated information, a lot of us do. I've somebody I was coaching not too long ago was concerned about the cholesterol in eggs. I mean, that's so outdated. It's not even funny. So we have to be looking at new information and processing that, dumping the old and picking up the new. And that's an energy exchange as well. So this is how we keep growing. And by the way, what we think we know can hurt us. So drop it like it's hot and pick up the new stuff. And if you have questions about nutrition, if you have questions about anything, you can always send in an email to support@savingdinner.com. You know I'm going to support you 100%, right? All right. Number 5, be a continuous learner. If you are learning, you are filling your mind with the good stuff. This is a gap filler. This is a bridge builder because you're always looking at something new. You're seeing the possibilities. You're seeing what it is that you can do. You're seeing that, for example, in the Hot Melt Sprint, in this volume 2, you're saying, oh my gosh, I don't have to eat plain chicken and steamed broccoli. I can actually have food that tastes good. There's butter involved. There's spices there. It's delicious. No depravity here. Of course not. And then the other thing is to be comfortable with uncertainty. And let me just say this. The comfort zone is a trap. You know this. It's a trap, 150%. It holds you back from the vibrant life that you want. So if we are looking at this, if we're looking at this and knowing that the comfort zone is not going to give us what it is that we want, then we can drop that, We can allow for not knowing how and just say, I don't know how, but I do know that I am going to do this, right? I had a situation recently, I was working with this woman in a coaching situation, about she's a bodybuilder and everything. She's in incredible shape. She's in her 60s, and I really admire her. But her way was, it actually got me sick. I couldn't do it her way. It was too much when you added in with the pickleball stuff that I'm already doing and the sprinting that I'm already doing, the other stuff that I'm already doing. It was way too much. And it put me in a place of back spasms and all this other stuff. You know what I learned from that experience? It is that there's more than one way to get there. So I've since switched things up. I've got a new program that I'm doing. I feel so much better, and I'm still getting results, right? Because that's what it's about. You have to look at it. It's not just one way. It is, there are other ways as well. There's uncertainty involved. Because leaving the comfort zone means that you're leaving behind the things that you've known, and you're going to try something different and something new. Give it a shot. Give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But the biggest thing is you've got to commit to action. Do you know? I'm so guilty of this. You probably are too. But how many times, my dog is itching. If you see the screen shaking, it's because he's behind me doing that. But have you ever just planned something and then not done a thing? You've gone out, you bought the groceries, and then all that stuff rotted in your fridge. You're planning on doing it, but life got in the way. You know what I'm talking about. Avoid the stagnation of that situation, because all that does is make you feel bad about yourself. And at the end of this whole thing, I want you to feel satisfied with the things that you've done. I want you to feel proud of yourself. And that's how we do that. We feel proud about ourselves because we take our good intentions and put them into actions and start getting results. It's a pretty fun thing, if you think about it. It makes it so that you want to jump out of bed in the morning and say, let's go do this thing again, because look what's happening. Isn't this so cool? Use your what, where, why, and when, or your why is underneath it all, of course, but use the what, where, and when strategy and start nailing down these goals and start nailing down that bridge that you're building on your gap. And the last thing that I have is a big, fat, juicy piece of advice that will shift everything if you embrace it. And that is to value your progress over being perfect, because progress is excellence. Perfectionism is paralysis. It doesn't move off a dime because it's not all perfect yet. And guess what? Perfect never comes this side of glory. It just doesn't. It's not meant for us mere human beings. It's meant for other worlds and ethereal beings and God himself. So if we can actively notice and start being curious about how we can get past and how we can start this bridge building and know that it's going to take a minute and not have to have all the answers handed to us and just walk on faith, we will build that bridge. We will cross that gap and we will start making not just progress, but we'll start actually achieving these goals. And as we go into the Hot Melt 30, which is going to be happening here in 9 days, right? This is critical stuff because it'll give us patience and kindness and grace with ourselves. It'll help us to see and start to really hone in on some purpose and help you and me and all of us together as a community to lift each other up and to get accomplished things that maybe we never thought were possible before. It is possible to bridge that gap, but you're the bridge builder. Alrighty, that's all I have for you today. Tomorrow, of course, is Wise Women's Wednesday. I so look forward to that. And I can't wait to see you all. Anne and Elaine, I know you guys are both late, but I'm glad you're here. The replay will be there, of course, for you. And everything that I talked about at the very beginning of the broadcast, of course, is on our announcements page. You can find that at savingdinner.com/announcements. I say that because that's where you're going to find the replay. That's where you're going to get the link for the kits with the 25% off and the free books. That's where you're going to get all the juicy stuff. All the links are there. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining me today. Peace be with you. Pinkies up. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.